الله أكبر
حي على الصلاة
الله أكبر الله أكبر
حي على الصلاة
الله أكبر.
All praises are due to Allah for having us here on another holy day evening so we may continue to build on things that make us better citizens.
Praise Allah.
Islam, Sheik brother, ourselves.
Great.
Praise Allah. How is everyone this week?
Praise Allah.
All is well? Okay. It's a little bit more intimate today. We only have a few guests here, a few members rather. How you feeling today, Mo? How you feeling this week?
As well.
All is well? Okay. Give me one thing about your week that stood out for you.
I persevered through a lot of stuff this week.
Okay.
A couple of illnesses.
Okay.
But back on track, back in the gym.
Okay.
Back to eating healthier a little more.
Okay.
And I'm there.
How about you? Well, what is it specifically that you persevere, or how did you persevere?
Taking time for myself. So I'm always putting out more and more and more. And I forgot. You gotta put it to yourself too.
Right.
Take your time and just relax.
Right. Right.
So I'm learning that aspect of being relaxing.
Right. Right. Indeed. Indeed. What about you, brother? How's your week been? I know we met. I believe, what is it, Monday or Tuesday?
Earlier in the week.
Early in the week. So after we had met, how was the rest of your week?
It's been excellent. I had some challenges this week, where I was kind of tested and I wasn't sure if it was something that I'd be able to accomplish or to do when it was first given to me, but I didn't really let that thought cross my mind. And I was able to get everything done. I was able to help out more around the house and just be better overall this week. So it feels like a good week.
Brother man, all's truly well? Okay.
Yes, sir.
I know you've been a traveling man. How's the sister doing?
Oh, great, man.
Praise Allah. How's the rest of the family doing?
Family's doing beautiful, man. Sunni Islam over there, they in the temple functioning right now.
Indeed, praise Allah. I see you got your wisdom going here, your wisdom demonstration.
Choppy
That's
like
the Abu degree right there. Islam. Well, I know it may seem trivial, but I ask these specifically for our brothers because in today's society, and even when we go to past generations, and it may not even happen directly to you, but in the broader society, when we look at like desolation out there in the chaos of the world, we as brothers, we don't really take the time to really foster the brotherhood.
Wow.
For lack of a better word. We talk about the brotherhood, but what is that brotherhood? What does that mean to us? What does it mean when I say, or when our Grand Sheik Rashid says to us, when we lower the meeting, go and press the hands of your fellow man and give an Islam to your sister and exchange numbers with your brother and check on your brothers. What is that? We're not just saying it because it sounds good. We're saying it because we mean it. We initially mean it. We intentionally mean it, rather. We have to, last Sunday school meeting, we went into chapter 13, where Jesus with justice went into the halls of Heliopolis.
Yes, sir.
And talked with
Temple of the Sun.
Yeah, indeed, the Temple of the Sun. And he talked with Halil. No, part himself. He didn't talk with Halil. He talked with Elihu.
That's right.
And when he addressed the sons of the brotherhood, or the men of the brotherhood, he was asked, why would you come into the halls of men?
That's right.
All right?
Your wisdom is the wisdom.
And the answer that he gave him was that in all forms of life, I'm paraphrasing, that I will walk, I will take the highest of the heights and the lowest of the depths, just so I make secure what's needed for my brother man. And regardless of the knowledge that he had been birthed with, the knowledge that he had attained, he still knew that he had to sit in the halls of men to truly understand what was going on out there.
That's right.
All right. So when we sit amongst our brothers, we're looking to create a dialogue. When we talk about the quote-unquote brotherhood, we have this perception as if it's something cryptic in a sense, almost like the quote-unquote the Illuminati. When in reality, we're just building a dialogue with each other. We're understanding each other. And with understanding each other, we understand Allah. We even understand ourselves. And that's the thing that we should be understanding. I say that we should really hone in on. Is that honestly, when I'm saying that I'm getting to know you, brother, or I'm getting to know Brother Raphael, Brother Sheik, Brother Charles Brown, I'm getting to know a side of myself, a side of Allah.
That's right.
And it's something that I preach all the time, but specifically for the most part, I want to drive it home. You know, there's no way that if a brother is in need, or a brother, let me backtrack. There's no way that a brother should feel ashamed to express himself to another brother, to let him know what's going on in his life, to let him know that all is not well. You know, we in the Moorish Science Temple of America, we have this thing with high self, and then by default we say all is well. But in the back of our mind, we have the weight of the world on our shoulders because we are Asiatic men.
That's right.
And we, and some by our own accord, and some just by a soldier knowing his own strength, we take on these foes. And not knowing that we don't have to do it alone. Even if it's simple words of wisdom. And that's, you know, so when we dialogue with our brothers, it should be, again, for the sake of understanding, for the sake of imparting something when we leave, when we separate.
That's right.
All right. The Honorable Neely Fuller Jr. said that, and I know I've said this often, but I have to drive it home. I have to use the hammer to drive it home. That we as men, we as a people, as Asiatics, as Moorish American, we should not be gathering. Well, if we gather, it should be for productive means. We shouldn't be just going over to chill. We have no time to chill. No time whatsoever. They have this thing on the internet lately called no chill, right? That's how we should be thinking about it. Anytime that we meet, that's why we have our Holy Day meeting, so we can reflect on the past week, and we can ascend to a higher realm of thought. And that higher realm of thought is honed, or is heightened rather, when we are around each other. That's the whole purpose. When we talk about building, we don't talk about building just because it sounds good. We talk about building because we're literally looking to build each other up. And if we're not building each other up, then what are we here for? Islam?
So
I encourage you, brothers, to speak to the ones that are close to you. If you don't have a close friend, you have myself, you have the Brother Raphael, you have each other. Exchange each other's numbers, and just, you know, you don't have to, you know, as soon as you, and maybe it depends on the spirit that, you know, that guides you. As soon as you call a brother, you may want to unload. You know, you just have, but remember that we have to reciprocate that as well. So we just don't want to be we don't want to be the brother that just unloads onto your, you know, to your friend, to your other brother, if you will. You know, you want to have an exchange. You want to say, okay, this is one of the issues that I have laid out, or this is one of the things that I have laid out. You know, you express that. And then the brother tells what he's going on, and maybe through him explaining what's going on in his life, you actually may be able to figure out or give you the solution. That's the building. That's the understanding. Islam?
Islam.
All right. So I want to backtrack. I want to from men to boys, if you will. I want you all to turn to chapter 30, Holy Instruction from the Prophet, the Social Duties. Islam? And I want to hear Islam when we get to that chapter.
Islam.
And I'll be reading it in part. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. When thou considerest thy wants, or instruction 1, when thou considerest thy wants, when thou beholdest thy imperfections, acknowledge his goodness, O son of humanity, who honored thee with humanity, who endowed thee with speech, and placed thee in the society to receive and confer reciprocal helps and mutual obligation, protection from injuries, thy enjoyment of the comforts and pleasures of life. All these thou owest to the assistance of others, and couldst not enjoy but in the bands of society. Instruction 2. It is thy duty, therefore, to be a friend to humankind.
Mankind.
It is that parts of to mankind, and it is thy interest that man should be friendly to thee. Instruction 3. As the rose breatheth sweetness from its own nature, so the heart of a benevolent man produceth good works. Islam?
Islam.
I had the opportunity to build with them, to join in on a mentorship program earlier this week. And this brother, he's a barber by trade, and he saw the way that, you know, when boys and young men were leaving school, how they weren't really being productive. I often talk about we as Moorish Americans, we being members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, it's important that we are active Moors, that we are active as much as we can in our communities, in society. Because if anything, that we are supposed to be the examples, the flagship that others can look to.
That's right.
Can lead by example. It's important. So when this brother had saw that this vicious cycle, this cycle where the school or the household, or the school doesn't support the community doesn't support the household, and continuous on. When you look in your community, when you look in your neighborhoods, or when you go to other neighborhoods, just check that out. Check out the schools. Check how much the schools are involved in the community. Check to see how the community is involved with each other. Because that is all supposed to be in unison. And the Moorish Science Temple of America essentially is supposed to be in each and every neighborhood, in each and every community, right?
That's right.
Because again, we are supposed to be an example. If you go over to North Druid Hills, you see at least on every other block,
Jews.
you see a synagogue.
That's right.
You see a temple. You see a community center.
Them walking to the synagogue.
Them walking to the center. Absolutely. So if we see those things in other people's community, we deserve that as well. But we have to be the ones to bring it. This brother, he's starting off, he has humble beginnings. And that is the thing that we as Asiatics sometimes we suffer from. Because we want to be big. We have these extravagant minds, but we have to think within the scope of our reality and what we have going on. See, the idea is to get the ball rolling. And see, if we get the ball rolling, we'll see that it will expand. Because other people will see our works. And if I were to backtrack for a moment, it's the same thing in the Moorish Science Temple of America. We see that we may have, quote unquote, limited seatings, if you will, or limited space. But if we continue to push forward, hypothetically speaking, if it was only the 4, the 5 of us in here in the Moorish Science Temple of America, we should be bold enough, we should have the ability to go and affect and change the community. We should be able to do that. If we're not able to do that, then we're just here being puffed up in our own conceit. Coming here to quote unquote receive our own knowledge. Or receive the knowledge from the sheiks and then just come home and just mill over it. But that's not what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to get that information, think about how it affects how it can affect our lives, apply it, and then teach it to others. That's in Act 6. The Moorish Americans is to teach our people their nationality and their divine creed.
That's right.
We're not just supposed to tell them, because what are you doing when you tell them? What are you replacing it with?
Block of wood.
A block of wood can do the same. So again, we have to be that example. We have to be the ones to show them what a Moorish American is supposed to look like. You're teaching them that you're not Negro, black, and colored, but you're teaching them also how to be a Moorish American. Islam, Sheik brother. That is our charge. That is our duty. So even with the numbers that we have here, we should be going in this community once or twice a week, if possible even more.
You're working.
We should be pulling our resources together.
That's right. You teaching
We
now.
should be learning how to write grants, etc., so we may be able to get funding so we can help our people. This is how an organization works. This is how we should be working. This is not a social club. This is not a place where we can just philosophize about the possibilities of man. We can speak on the possibilities of man, but we know that all things are possible if we go out and act. We demonstrate power. Islam?
Islam.
So going back to the brother that has the mentorship, the idea of this brother is to, or the idea of this mentorship is to raise, let me back check that. The purpose of the membership, I'm trying to figure out a good way to articulate it. The purpose of this mentorship is to give the young brothers a trade. All right? Him being a barber, it's only fitting that he takes young brothers under his wing and teach them how to be barbers themselves. And specifically learning how to repair clippers. So his goal is, if anything, is that you know how to repair clippers, and you can go out to the different neighborhoods, you can go out to the different barbershops in the neighborhood and work the trade. And you can start learning how to produce for yourself. Learning how to establish a business. And this will also build a brotherhood. Because if one person is not good at doing a particular thing with clippers, someone else may be good at doing it. Right. And they can learn from each other. They can learn how to cut each other's hair, mess up each other's hair. All right? And Sheik, you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I know you're a master barber, but from what I was told, the clipper repair shop,
That's right.
I guess it used to be more local.
Absolutely.
It used to be like maybe a 2 to 3 day turnaround, or maybe a 5 day turnaround, and now because they moved out farther, it's like even like a 2 to 3 week turnaround.
Absolutely.
So imagine if these brothers learn this trade and is able to go from neighborhood to neighborhood, to barbershop and barbershop, and supply that need. So these are the things that we as men should be thinking of. I spoke with, as I was building with the brother, he was saying that one of the things that we were missing in our communities, in our neighborhoods, was a formal rite of passage for our young men.
Right.
All right? So when you think about the secular concept of rites of passage for young men and young girls, you have, or young women rather, you have Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts.
Stuff a lot.
You may have, you may have some form of sports, Pop Warner, recreational, all right? And then from there, let's keep it in the quote unquote fraternity. So you have Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts. And then from there, you may go to, I've never been to Boy Scouts. Boy Scouts is like what, up until graduation of high school? Okay, I believe, let's just say graduation from high school. All right, and then from there, you go into a fraternity, a Greek fraternity. All right, so, you got that one generation, Boys and Girls Club, not Boys and Girls Club, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. Next one, fraternity, sorority, Greek fraternity, sorority. So in part, it may have a semblance of an Asiatic or traditional African rites of passage. But in all actuality, these are rites of passage that is not for you.
That's right.
You hear, quote unquote, crossing the burning sands, and we think that it's, that is something likened to what we can relate to. That's our culture. It's far from it. It's terrible. It's horrible, to say the least.
That's
All right. And then from there, you go from the Greek fraternities and you go into the next generation and you have Masonry, Shriners. That's the other rites of passage. I'm sorry, Masonry, that's the next rite of passage. All right. And then you go all the way up to your 33rd degree and maybe become a master builder, so on and so forth. All right. But these are rites of passage that were given to you by someone else that don't have your best interest in mind. We make it seem because it's in our society, but it don't benefit us.
Sorry.
What it does is it benefits the European. It benefits those who have that semblance of power. And then if you want to go on further from being a Freemason, you can be a Shriner. And then, we like to mention this often, you have a Shriner's hospital. But the question that I have to ask you, how many Shriners hospitals have you seen in your community?
Good question.
How many Shriners hospitals have you seen in this community?
Most.
If this is supposed to be an organization or fraternity that is supposed to be for the people, supposed to be the demonstration of the lion and the lamb laying together, because you have this upper echelon of men that are supposed to be able to give back to the community. They're supposed to have a Rotarian complexion. Supposed to. But we see it as the opposite. Islam? So, my challenge to you as Moorish American men, as Moorish American Muslims, as Moabites, is to help us establish rites of passage for our young babies, for our young men and young women. They have articles in the Moorish Guide where it talks about the Moorish Young Men's Association, where our prophet and other sheiks of other temples, they've taken young men that were part of their organization and raised them up, brought them through a rites of passage, a Moorish rites of passage, teaching them how to be men, teaching them how to be young men and then grow on to being men, teaching them the responsibility, teaching them how to be better citizens, teaching them how to be businessmen.
Right.
How many of us have gone through, how many of us throughout the ages or throughout our life have grown up, have physically or literally been taught how to start up a business?
Wow.
Not directly, not indirectly, like directly. Not on the job training or just being left out to the wolves. So wouldn't you want better for the next generation?
Yes.
You should, because that's your charge. So when we think about our responsibilities as Moorish Americans, members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, it may seem like a lot. But again, the key is to do it together. Allah, salvation, unity. This is how we're supposed to work things out. We're supposed to do it together. If we're not able to accomplish that, then our labels will be for naught.
Allahu Akbar.
حي على الصلاة
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
حي على الصلاة